Good morning, guys. So we are still cold, but we're totally warming up. It's actually 26 today. I don't know if you could tell, but I feel good about it. We've still gotten a lot of snow. I think we've gotten about another foot. There's my gauge barrel. And this week we're actually going up to like 36 and it's going to be raining, so that'll be a good time. But until then, I'm still working inside. I'm not going outside. Let me tell you what I'm going to be doing. So we've got the ceilings to do, and I'm going to be doing that in shiplap. I've added, I don't know if I filmed this or not, added the rest of this shiplap, so I've got to paint that and extend it over. This will get finished when I'm working in that particular area. Obviously, all the wires come through here. I've got to get a hole through there. Okay, so I'm going to finish telling you what I was actually planning to do because I cut myself off. I'm going to pre-paint all of these, whitewash all of these, and then put them up on the ceiling to finish out the ceiling. The center part of the ceiling will be done differently, but this is just a section that is over the counters and the cabinets. And I'm really absolutely loving the look of this whitewash. I do want to maybe polyurethane everything later on because I definitely want to make sure that it's cleanable and I don't have to go back over and repaint it and make it be more of a solid color later just to keep it clean. So later on in the video, I'll actually be building my upper cabinets, and it has been extremely difficult building these things inside this tiny space. I definitely wish that I had a bigger space, but I am making do. But there are things that I definitely would have done differently. I can't find half of my tools. Like, I just don't know where they are. And I would end up spending 3 or 4 days looking for everything in order to finish getting things done the exact way that they're supposed to be. So I hope that the way that I ended up doing this, which is just glue and nailing them together, will work. Otherwise, I guess I'll have to take them down, take them apart, and put in the pocket hole screws. That's what I prefer to do. So for those of you that have been watching my videos in this channel and supporting my channel, thank you. One of the things that I've been doing here lately is sharing my story and my journey with sobriety. I have 8.5 years of sobriety, and this July will be 9 years. I'm extremely grateful for the people that walked before me and have shared their stories and helped me with my growth and the things that I've done. And I think the thing that kind of blows me away 100% is this absolutely would have been an amazing way to grow up, this philosophy behind the 12 steps of recovery. And there are many different ways that people recover, and this just happens to be my way, the way that I did it, and so that's what I'm going to share with you guys. I hope that you are able to take something from this. Whether you're an alcoholic or not, I think this would have helped me way before my drinking was out of control, and it would have helped me live a very different life. I do know that it's very hard. You have to look at everything very differently than what you're used to doing, and that can be really hard. So today we're going to talk about the third step of AA, which I'm just going to read it directly to you. Step 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. And I know that a lot of people battle with God. They don't want to do that. For me, I didn't have that issue. I definitely believed in God, and you know, I prayed all the time. I just I just prayed to get out of the problems that I put myself in. And one thing that my sponsor said to me, because I did not want to be involved in organized religion. And she would say to me over and over again, well, just see where they are right. And that is a complete mind change. And the beginning of it says is we made a decision. And I love that phrasing of it, because we can decide to react to things however we want to react to them. And if you've pre-decided something, it makes it very easy to do. And it did take me many years to finally go into church, but I did do a little bit of things here and there. And as far as trying to learn more about God. And one of the big things is I had to separate organized religion from God. And the thought process that I had, that is, if you went to church, you were perfect. And therefore, nobody in the church could live up to what I thought that they were supposed to be. And so I was creating this complete space of failure for myself. And none of us are perfect. We're never going to be perfect. We can just do the best that we can, and we can admit when we were wrong somewhere and move on from there. And, that kind of goes into the next step. But probably about 6 months ago, I really started studying the Bible and using the Bible to figure out how to react to specific situations. And this phrase that my sponsor had said to me, see where they are right. And so I would go through and really look at different particular situations that way.
Okay, so what I'm doing today is, as you can tell, putting the ceiling on. I'm not going to do the center because I have a sponsor that's going to be part of the center. So I'm waiting on that. And like this side, I just have to go behind here, but I won't have to go all the way deep. I'm probably going to have to whitewash a few more, but I think this is going to look really cool. I do have to trim a little bit off of that, so I'm kind of holding off on all the trim pieces, and I'll put them in last. But it's really turning out cool. I love it.
But again, at the time, I wasn't studying the Bible as a teaching book. And I still wasn't getting that concept. And not too long ago, I started a Bible study. I'll put a link in the description below. And she just goes word for word, line for line through the Bible and explaining it and talking about how this relates to today. And that was what I needed. I needed that. I needed somebody to hand walk me through it, take my hand and walk me through it, because I still had so much baggage held up inside of me. And every time I do something like this, there's been many little steps to get me to this space. But every time I do something like this, I am less about trying to control the outcome. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day in the car, and when we were driving around doing errands, and I had said, if you look at everything, this is how I have to look at everything, that it doesn't matter what they did. I am still responsible for the way I respond. It's never them, it's always me mentality. And that doesn't mean that people won't do hurtful things, because they will. It's just making that decision as to where am I going to allow them to show up in my life, or do they even get access to me? Because if they're
really toxic, broken, hurt people that are just out to hurt me, then I don't need to have them in my life. And so that's where I'm responsible for what happens in my space with that person. And it's this thought process that, because I think we've been trained to really, well, they did this horrible thing, so it's all their fault and I'm a victim of that situation. And I'm the last person to say that, you know, there are people who are victims, valid victims. There have been times in my life where I have absolutely been a victim. But today, I just get to say I'm not giving that person power over me by allowing them to force a reaction out of me. And that really comes from this turning my will over to God. Because so I've heard over and over, and I'm sure you guys have heard this too. If God wants you to, if it's in his plan for something to happen for you, then it will happen. You cannot mess it up. And I need to hear that, because I will definitely mess things up if I'm trying to control it and be in charge of it. And my job here is to put one step in front of another. And this house that I'm building, I'm pretty all over the place. And I've had people tell me that I have a real hard time watching you because of the way you do things. And I'm just kind of, okay, I don't know how to do this. So I'm just doing what's right directly in front of me. And, you know, probably would have been smarter to get a book or something that told you how to do this and then follow those steps exactly. You know, but I knew that there needed to be framing. I knew that there needed to be insulation. I knew that there needed to be electric pulled, and I knew that there needed to be some type of wall thing. The hardest part is in the middle of this build, I decided to live inside the building. And there were reasons behind that, valid reasons. But that still created this really difficult space to actually work in. And things became very important, like staying warm or not having the building leak all over the place and water running in every time it rained. And so I had to refocus and work on those particular situations that were happening. And I think that's kind of, maybe I'm getting off topic. That happens. I ramble. But if I'm working through my life and allowing God to be in charge of my life, then I just need to do the next thing in front of me. Continue to be kind and continue to figure out and learn how religious people are right. And I think the biggest thing for me that I've learned is they're right because they study the Bible, and the Bible is the Word of God. And so I can't do what God wants me to do or allow a God to be in charge of my life if I'm not studying the book that is His Word. And the thing that's been really interesting for me is, since I've been doing this, many more things have been put in front of me. You know, things that scientifically prove that Jesus was real, and the things that are in the Bible are real. And it's really interesting as I'm looking at this as a guide. And inside the Bible, it will tell you how to behave and how to act, how you're supposed to do things. Something that was very interesting to me, that I would fight
back in the day. It's really funny, the fights that I decided to fight was, in the Bible, it tells you to not mix materials. So you don't wear wool and linen together. You don't wear cotton and another one. I can't give you all the exacts, but it's in there. It tells you how to dress and not how to, and not to mix those. And it was a really big deal back in the day. Well, since I've been studying and I've been looking more into things, I've actually come across this study that talks about the vibrations that material gives off, and that it can create energy or it can deplete energy. And when you're looking at this study, this scientific study that was done, linen and wool have an energy rating of 5,000. If you put those two together, it becomes 0. And back in the early hospitals, when you were sick, they used to wrap you in pure linen, and people would get better faster. They would heal. Their chronic illnesses would go away. The things like that would go away. They would heal after surgery really well, and they would just wrap them in linen. And because of the energy of the material. So here's a space in the Bible where they are right. Now, scientifically, it has been proven that they are right. So there's enough of these little things in that have come out, and the studies and the black and white of it have come out, that it makes it very easy for me to say, I don't have to battle this. There's been enough things that have been proven right that I can just believe the rest of this, and I don't have to fight it. And that has been a big step for me, because submission was a very big deal to me. The word submit was not in my vocabulary. And that caused a lot of really hard times in my life. And, I look back and the things and the people that I fought, I didn't need to be safe and to be happy. In fact, I think because I did fight those things, I wasn't happy. I have never in my life been as content and have as much serenity as I have today. And I'm living the most rustic, physically demanding life that I have ever had to live in my 50 years. But in general, I am very happy. I'm happy with what I get to do. I'm really having a great time learning how to build cabinets and do this. This was I'd always learned that this was too difficult. You couldn't, you have to be a professional to build cabinets. Well, you really don't. They may not be perfect, but they will work, and you will get better every time that you make them. So this is the very first time that I've ever made cabinets, and I definitely do some things wrong, but I also do a lot of things right. And I'm not striving to be perfect. I'm striving to learn a new craft, and I will be able to do better on that craft every single time that I do it. That is the whole purpose of this tiny house, is building confidence, building a place to live, comfortable place to live, while I continue to build this homestead. And, joining the church that I've joined and becoming friends with like-minded people that want joy and serenity in their life. And they're not looking for drama, trauma, and tragedy. And that they have to have all of this crazy chaos going on in their life to be content or to feel important. And, every single day that I wake up and I do something, I feel like I succeeded in doing something. And it's just one more step forward in making the progress that I'm making. And so I absolutely love it. I've been enjoying it a lot. It has been hard. This has legitimately been one of the hardest things that I've done. And I absolutely could have done it differently and made it a little bit more easier. But there, from what I've heard from everybody, building a homestead from raw land is very, very difficult. You know, but I'm doing it. And I may not be doing it the way someone else would do it. I definitely would do it different if I could take the information that I have now back in time 3 years. I would definitely do things different. But I'm very content with where I'm at and what I'm doing now. Getting this kitchen finished is going to make a huge difference. I love to cook. I love food. I love feeding people. And so I will be able to do that with this tiny house kitchen. You know, making the decision to turn my will over and my life over to the care of God. So, one, it's a decision. And how I did this, again, I had an amazing sponsor, is when something big and tragic would happen. You know, like I didn't get along with somebody. She would have me write it down because I never reacted correctly the first time. I took old tools and used those to react into that situation. Stick around. I'll tell you a little bit more about this, but I want to show you this cabinet hung up on the wall. It's really pretty exciting.
This is so exciting. Okay, so you guys missed me putting it up. Maybe that's a good thing. But yeah, so I've left a little bit room at the top because I am going to have to bring some wire over to make a plug-in on this side for the plug-in for this guy, because for the vent. So that is my very first upper. That's so exciting. And I'm glad I finished out the wall in the back. I think that's going to look really neat, being up there. And I'm going to come over 8 feet with these. So we have 3 of them. And this side was actually supposed to be that other side because I didn't drill all the way through. But I think it'll be fine. Oh, I'm so excited!
So, doesn't that look great? All right, back to what I was saying. So she would have me journal, and she would have me write down exactly what happened as best as I could remember. And then she would have me say, how should you have responded, and write that down. So think about my reaction. Think about what I should have said. Think about all of those things, because then I would write those down. And there's something about putting pen to paper that actually helps you remember it when it happens again, because we are put in situations to teach us things. And if you are constantly being put in the exact same situation, it's because you haven't learned the thing that you need to learn so that that type of person or that type of situation doesn't show up anymore. And that was a game changer for me, because that was the I got to look up and say, what would God want me to do? What is He telling me to do? How am I supposed to react to people that are just attacking me? And, you know, it tells you in the Bible how to do that, what to do. And then, you know, one of the things that you do is you pray for your enemies, and you pray for them for absolutely everything that you would want for yourself, and you pray that for them. And what that did for me is it softened my heart, and it let me realize how broken and wounded we are as human beings on this planet. And it makes it a lot easier to think that somebody who is broken and wounded and is using old tools to react to a situation that they are in, that I also happen to be in, really is not about me. It's about them and what they've dealt with in the past. And that makes it very easy to be forgiving. But it also makes it very easy to say, I'm taking myself out of this because I don't deserve this behavior. But once they've figured it out, I leave space for them to come back. And that's really truly how I try to live my life. I don't have to be concerned about what somebody else is doing. I only have to be concerned that I'm doing the best that I can every single day. And I may do better tomorrow. Hopefully I will. If I'm doing the work, I'll do better tomorrow. And then that just makes tomorrow easier. And I'm extremely grateful for that, and for the people that came before me that took my hand and walked me through this so that I could live this life that I'm living today.
That looks fantastic. I'm so excited. Okay, so I did not use the pocket screws because I couldn't find the kit. So I'm going to dig through the bathroom and find it, but I wanted to get these done today. So I hope that that is good enough. Obviously we got the face fronts to do, and I left that down from the top a little bit because that's where I'm going to be pulling a wire through to put a plug in up here. And for those of you that haven't been watching, you may have noticed that there are no plug-ins right there. I am going to run them underneath the cabinets so that it's a clean backspace is what I wanted. So, but yeah, those are the uppers. That's so exciting, you guys. I want to thank you for hanging out with me and, you know, watching my progress and watching me build and supporting me in all the ways that you guys do. So if you're not a subscriber, I would hope that you would consider subscribing. Try to have a lot of good times here and really push a positive message. Thanks for hanging out. Bye.